In the heart of England's foggy countryside, nestled between two ancient hills, stood an old manor known as Blackthorne Hall. Weathered by time and forgotten by most, it had once been a grand estate bustling with laughter, candlelit dinners, and orchestral evenings. Now, it stood as a grim silhouette against the gray sky, its tall windows like blind eyes staring at nothing. The story begins on a rainy October evening in 1974 when a group of friends from university, James, Evelyn, Marcus, Lily, and Oliver, received an unusual invitation. It came in the form of a sealed envelope, hand-delivered, with no return address. You are cordially invited to a private gathering at Blackthorne Hall on the night of October 31st. Your presence is expected. Dress accordingly. The host. At first, they thought it was a prank. None of them had heard of the place before, and certainly, none had any connection to it. But curiosity, and perhaps the thrill of the unknown, got the better of them. After all, Halloween at a haunted mansion sounded like the perfect adventure. Arrival. The hall loomed larger than they'd imagined. Its iron gates creaked open by themselves as they approached, and the path leading up to the entrance was lined with withered trees whose branches stretched like skeletal arms. No one welcomed them at the door, yet the massive oak doors slowly opened with a moan as they stepped inside. A long corridor stretched ahead, lit by dim chandeliers. Old portraits stared down at them, their eyes eerily lifelike. The air smelled of dust, old wood, and something faintly metallic. A note lay on a nearby table. Dinner will be served at 8. Please settle in your rooms until then. You will find them marked with your names. The host. Lily laughed nervously. This host really knows how to set the mood. Their rooms were on the second floor, each one decorated differently, yet all with an unsettling, antique charm. Time-worn furniture, clawfoot bathtubs, and walls hung with tapestries from another era. There were no clocks, no televisions, only silence and the occasional whisper of wind against the windows. Dinner with a stranger. At exactly 8 o'clock, a loud chime echoed through the hall. They made their way to the dining room, a grand chamber with a long polished table, silverware laid out perfectly. Candles flickered in golden candelabras, casting long shadows on the velvet wallpaper. But what unsettled them most wasn't the setting. It was the empty chair at the head of the table, set perfectly, with a place card that simply read, "The Forgotten Guest." James frowned. "Is that one of us?" "No," Evelyn said, her voice barely above a whisper. "We're all here." They waited for nearly half an hour. No one came. Then, just as they were about to eat, the candles flickered violently. A gust of wind blew through the room, even though all windows were shut. The chandelier swung gently, and then silence again. "Did anyone see that?" Marcus asked. Lily pointed. "The wine glass, it's full now." They all looked. The wine glass at the forgotten guest's place, which had been empty moments before, was now filled with deep red wine, or something that looked very much like it. Clues and whispers. That night, each of them heard things. James woke to footsteps in the corridor. When he opened his door, no one was there, only a faint trail of wet footprints leading toward the attic. Evelyn found a locket under her pillow. Inside was a picture of a little girl in 19th century clothes, her eyes scratched out. Marcus's mirror was fogged up, though the room wasn't cold. Scrawled into the condensation were the words, "He never left." Lily's room smelled faintly of roses. On her dresser was a single, freshly plucked black rose. Oliver, the most skeptical of the group, heard a voice whisper in his ear as he drifted off. "He's waiting. You shouldn't have come." The next morning, over breakfast, they shared their experiences. But no one wanted to admit they were scared. Not yet. The diary. James and Evelyn explored the library after breakfast. Dusty books lined every wall, some bound in leather so old it cracked at the touch. On a small desk by the window, Evelyn found a worn journal. October 31st, 1863. "We welcomed him tonight. The boy with no name. He came from the fire, and with him, death. We shouldn't have let him in. The entries that followed spoke of tragedy. The manor had hosted a Halloween ball in 1863. A mysterious orphan had been found at the gate, crying, claiming to have no name or memory. The family took him in for the evening. By dawn, 6 people were dead, including the manor's youngest daughter. The final entry read, "We sealed the boy in the East Wing. The walls remember. We do not speak of him." Unsealing the past. That night, Marcus vanished. He went to get a flashlight from the car, but never returned. His phone was still on the charger. His coat hung by the door. They searched the house. In the East Wing, the same wing mentioned in the diary, they found a sealed door behind a torn curtain. Wooden boards nailed shut. Something scratched at it from the inside. Lily screamed. Oliver tried to pry the boards loose, but the moment he touched them, a high-pitched scream filled the air. The lights flickered, and the walls began to bleed, or at least it looked like blood. They ran. Vanishing point. The group spent the night barricaded in the main hall, too frightened to return to their rooms. They kept the lights on, what few still worked, and took turns staying awake, but Marcus never came back. In the silence, Evelyn whispered, "Do you think he's dead?" No one answered. At dawn, Oliver found something horrifying. The floor near the East Wing was marked with bloody handprints, as if someone had been dragged. The sealed door they had found the night before, now slightly ajar. Something or someone had come out. The shadows know. James and Evelyn decided to go back to the library. There had to be more clues. Digging through the journal again, they discovered several loose pages that had been hidden between books. The boy said he was cold. Always cold. He didn't eat, didn't sleep. We thought he was cursed, or perhaps death itself in a child's body. They say the house is bound to him now. The hall remembers. His room was the nursery. We sealed it after the fire. No one was to enter it again. He asked for a birthday. We made a cake. At midnight, he smiled, and everyone else screamed. The nursery. That had to be it. That's where Marcus had gone, or had been taken. The group agreed. They had to find the nursery and confront whatever was inside. The nursery door. On the 3rd floor, behind a heavy velvet curtain, they found it. The nursery was locked with an iron latch and a symbol carved into the wood, an ancient sigil none of them recognized. Evelyn traced her fingers over it and felt an icy pulse. Oliver kicked the door open. Inside, the air was frozen. Dust hung motionless. Toys lay scattered on the floor, tiny wooden horses, broken dolls, and a music box that began to play on its own. A child's drawing was nailed to the wall, showing 5 people in red, and 1 in black with no face. Then they saw the crib. Inside was Marcus. Pale, unconscious but alive. James rushed over, trying to shake him awake. Marcus's eyes fluttered open. "He's here," he whispered. "He never left." Then a shadow rose behind them. The forgotten guest appears. The temperature plummeted. Their breaths turned to frost. From the shadows, a figure began to take form, small, childlike, but wrong. Its face was smooth, featureless except for 2 deep black holes where the eyes should be. It didn't walk. It floated. The child's voice echoed, though his mouth never moved. "You forgot me." Again. Lily screamed. The entity turned toward her, and the walls of the nursery cracked, bleeding black tar. The music box wound tighter and tighter, playing faster, shriller. James stepped forward, shouting, "Who are you? What do you want?" "To be remembered. To be real again. You're here because I chose you. Every year, I bring them back. Every year they forget. But this time you will stay." The ritual. Evelyn realized something. The journal had mentioned a ritual, a way to bind the boy's spirit forever, to keep him trapped inside the house. But it required a sacrifice. That was why the others had died. "It's not that he's cursed," she said. "He is the curse. This house exists because of him." Oliver shouted, "Then let's burn it down." "No," Evelyn said. "That's what he wants. If we destroy the house, he'll be set free. We have to bind him here." She grabbed the music box, wound it backward, just like the final page of the diary instructed. The entity screamed. The shadows twisted. The toys in the room floated, spinning violently. But Evelyn kept turning the music box, chanting the words written in the margins of the diary. By wind and ash, by child and bone, remain unseen, remain unknown. Return to sleep, return to shade, your memory now shall ever fade. The final choice. The boy began to crack, literally. His form shattered like glass, piece by piece, breaking apart. But before he vanished, he whispered again. You remember me now. That means I'll come back. With a final shriek, the nursery exploded into white light. Then, silence. When the group opened their eyes, the room was normal again. The toys were still. The crib was empty. Marcus sat on the floor, awake and breathing. The entity was gone. Or so they thought. Leaving the hall, they didn't wait. At dawn, they ran from Blackthorne Hall. The gates closed behind them. No one said a word. No one looked back. They made a pact never to speak of it again. 1 year later, Evelyn received another envelope. Same wax seal. Same handwriting. You are cordially invited to a private gathering at Blackthorne Hall on October 31 ST. This time, it had her name. And her son's. Her son, who had no father. Her son, who was born exactly 9 months after that Halloween night. Her son, whose eyes were as black as coal.